Dave. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for inviting me, Jane. And I love the Mary Magdalene picture behind you. It just sets everything off, especially with your newly acquired medal.
Oh, thank you. Yep, this is my Mary Magdalene medal that my friend Christy made me. So today, the topic of our conversation is going to be conscious evolution and our celestial evolutionary assistance. And we're going to reveal what that is. And the inspiration was taken from a video that I watched and Friends of Truth on Telegram watched as well to help the masses prepare humanity for the end game. And it's called We Are One on Rumble. Rig for Red is the title. And apparently, the Guardian Alliance specifically has asked for it to be shared far and wide, this information. So I thought we'd take it one step further because there's lots of unanswered questions in the video, and Friends of Truth have asked questions as well. So I would say that this information is vital to anyone who's trying to expand their consciousness. And apparently, on February 28th, all seven planets are going to gather on the same side of the sun. So, with the start of this great planetary alignment, Mercury is going to join Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Saturn, Venus, and Neptune as all seven planets align in the sky. And the Guardian Alliance is said to be sending a message to us saying that the zodiac structural principles, being both energetic and geometric, are being aligned to the alchemical laws hosted by your favorite star, the crystal star. And furthermore, they're saying that the weakening of the Earth magnetosphere and the solar system's heliosphere are getting exponentially weaker, which is allowing an increasing saturation of cosmic rays coming into our inner solar system. So, long story short, the returning of the spirit to the center of unity or the process of inner unification is activated as a law. So, for the first time, Dave, apparently, according to the Guardian Alliance, and I know you've got a million things going around in your head that you want to say, but just hear me out, okay? For the first time, a silver gold frequency is being transmitted to our sun and planetary body through the silver ray, dissolving into the golden gate. And this alignment begins a new exposure and is transmitting a new substance, which has qualities of both elemental water and elemental ether. So this is carried in a mixture within these plasmic silver gold liquid light frequencies, which makes it fire water. So they go on to say that fire water is a new spiritual element being created through this alchemical process transmitted to earth and humanity. So the river of living waters from the mother's creatrix, the rainbow crystal waters, are going to flow out from the throne of prime creator source and unify into the dimensional door of the golden gate. The highest emanation of this mysterious elixir is both silver and gold, the chalice of God, which opens the portal of the Golden Gate. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. And also, if you could tell us real quick what the Golden Gate is.
Really, with regard, I mean, I have heard of the Golden Gate, but that was long, long ago. And I'm sure that this Golden Gate is substantially different from the ancient one that I have heard about, which is a lower dimensional gate. But so this one sounds truly divinely created at the very highest levels. There are some very, very high level radiation energetics that operate in celestial realms, like, for example, the Alanya Tapea Urea Conservatory, a conservatory, which is very interesting. You know, we use the word conservatory. This is a conservatory to do with kinship. And the Alanyatopeia urea conservatory is a family type collective where everything is one. And this Elanya Urea Conservatory are actively working and have been for some time with the Alhambra Collective. And the Alhambra Collective are actually on planet Earth now in 5 different cathedral complexes. So I think that what we're looking at is that with regard to the one, the law of one being the primal law of the cosmic divine design, um, what's happening is that that particular idea is that concept is being unlocked to release so many of these vapor essences, these rainbow essences, which are connected with the rainbow rays, from which we get our word rays. It comes from raysas, meaning the rays. We are the rainbow people, the rainbow warriors, but that comes from energetic vapor essences. There are 5 vapor essences which are released and they become illumined essence within us as we expand our consciousness. In fact, we breathe this illumined essence into the whole of our life field here on planet Earth so that they can expand consciousness as well. With regard to all the things that you're talking about, which is really fascinating, the Golden Gate and the silver vapor, whatever that was that you'd mentioned, sounds like the silver seed awakening, which was long prophesied. But with regard to giving details to help with understanding of the video that you mentioned, I can only go that far. I apologize.
It's okay. I should have sent you the video so that you could watch it first. So I'm sorry to take you by surprise, Dave. Oh, there's lots more. So brace yourself. The
Okay.
the planetary fields and humanity are coming to experience the next phase of the planetary ascension cycle, which is the bifurcation or splitting of time. So as we move into future time, the forthcoming split occurring between timelines will govern our continued conscious evolution expression on the Earth plane. So, can you, Dave, briefly explain how our Earth was distorted using the false light geometry of the phantom matrix so that we know what it is we're splitting from?
Thing is that there is an original stream of consciousness which comes down and that we are a part of it. We are incarnated out of that original stream. Our particular stream, a family line of consciousness, is the Melchizedek. But there are many of them. There's 24 of them actually in each time matrix, and there are millions of time matrices. So there is an original stream of consciousness. And within that original stream of consciousness, which goes on in our Earth years for could be trillions of years, within that original stream of consciousness, there are 12 probability future time cycles. You can have 12 probabilities of contrast. In other words, you have free will to contrast, to experience contrast in your holographic realms of life and living. And you have 12 probabilities of them. Now, what happens when the shift occurs, when there is a shift within the holographic realms and the resonant frequencies, the angular rates of particle spin are shifted very dramatically? What happens is that life forms can step out of the original 12 probability lines of experience. So that's what's happened in our time matrix. It happened in many of them, the Visadak and the Wisadrak and the Chantarelle time matrices also shifted. And what that does basically, it allows for the creation of many, many different timeline future probabilities for all of the life fields. So one's experiences get scattered into various probable futures. And that's what's happened on Earth many times, where Earth's probable future for humanity has been shifted and taken us on a different route, which would have absolutely changed everything about who we are. And we were threatened with that many, many times. And each time the Guardian Alliance had to endeavor to pull us back into some form of at least the original stream of consciousness. So what we're looking at now is the reclamation, the reaffirmation of the original timeline divine construct, so that we can all, as planets, stars, and individual beings, we can all follow the route back to who we are as an encrypted aspect of the celestial heavens. So it's very, very complex. So, for example, I'll give you one, and I hope you're all staying with me on this one, because originally, in this original stream of consciousness, you will find that all the planetary systems are all at 90 degrees. So is the suns. They're all set at 90 degrees, therefore, they can operate according to angular rates of particle spin. Repulsion zones, which are those what seem like to us dark areas of space where there is no matter, those are shifted angular rates of particle spin in the frequency fields, so that we are separated into different universes, and we can experience in different universes. Once all the planetary systems and the solar cores are shifted to a different degree, as ours has been, and once that happens, then the shields and the structure, the architecture of the cosmos, including our planets, including our bodies, gets shifted too. And when that happens, it is very difficult for us to hold onto the original frequency field stream of consciousness. And that is what has happened to us over many millions of years. In fact, it's even affected our feminine, masculine, energetic alignments. So 15,000 years ago, when the parameter shield of Earth is the one that goes around the whole, shall we say, orb, that brings us into a different topic, but for now we say that orb, parameter shield goes around there, that shifts, it changes the connection between the parallel universe and our universe, the masculine and the feminine, and it shifts the alignment of energies. And that's just one example, and that's been going for 15,000 years. Fortunately, that's shifted back again in our favor in 2003. I put that out as an example because I know that your knowledge about feminine and masculine, Jane, is totally amazing and brilliant, and you're very connected to that. But it's just one example of all of the distortions that have happened in our holographic matrix, and where we've been taken away from the original conscious stream of probable futures and shifted into where free will disappears and the law of one vanishes.
So now could you explain just very briefly about the difference between the flower of life, the Mechatronic Death Star part of it, and how they overlaid that into the sacred geometry of the 12, so that people understand that this has also been done on a structural level to our entire organic construct?
Well, yes, it is happening. It's affecting or it has affected the whole architecture of our holographic universal realms, which operate according to the stream of consciousness, the original aspect and energy of source. So the architecture is shifted, and that has an effect on the energetics come through that system. So our system got shifted 23.5 degrees, whatever it is, 22.5, I can't remember, but it was shifted. And that meant that it could no longer access fully all of the energetic flows of a source of the divine energy. They were interrupted, and so they became intermittent. Now, the beings who were of very high dimensional technological understanding realized that they couldn't access the flows of source itself, because those flows operated according to the stream of consciousness. And when the shifts happened and the architecture changed for lots of different reasons, then the energetics changed. And that meant that you couldn't access completely all of the natural energetic flows of source. So that meant that if you were living on a distorted world, as we have been, and the fallen angelics were operating that world and controlling it for themselves, they couldn't access all of the energies. So they had to figure out a mechanism or a series of mechanisms which would allow them to steal the energy source, to suck it out of the spirals that were going through our whole system. And that created an artificial mechanism for storing, releasing, transmitting energy, which could be controlled exclusively by those beings who held the controls of the artificial mechanisms. That's Fibonacci spiral and so on, and the golden mean. And by the way, that doesn't mean that those mechanisms don't work. They work brilliantly because the Great Pyramid of Giza was built according to the golden mean standards. So those things work in a fallen, distorted world. It's just that they aren't natural and they aren't expansive and they don't lead to the consciousness re-evolution of souls. They lead to contraction and compaction, which is the exact opposite.
Can I
Full source, sorry?
Yeah, can I just interrupt that and say, do you think that the main goal behind all of that was to prevent the angelic humans and the indigos and everyone from ascending, right? Because once we've ascended, we're out of their realm and they can't suck from our energy. Is that correct?
Well, broadly speaking, that is correct. Yes. And the reason why they didn't want us to ascend, and as for example, all of you listening now, and Jane and myself, we're angelic indigos, whose primal and pre-ancient purpose has been to help our whole universe, including the life fields and ourselves, to re-enter the original stream of consciousness so that we can ascend back to where we never really left. If you get my meaning from we're in the worlds of illusion, we want to go back to the one reality, the original reality that exists. However, we've been tracked here, we've been followed here, we've been brutalized in many different ways, and we all know this now, so that we can't ascend. We've had our DNA strands reduced, dismantled, affected by so many things. Latest things, of course, the vaccines. These were all attempts to prevent us from stepping into our true power, which is to help the whole universe to ascend, which is, of course, what is happening now. But with regard to those beings who actually controlled the distorted universes, including Earth, those beings have essentially lost their seed atom. Now, the seed atom in the Azure here, where we call it the thymus, when you see gorillas tapping themselves, when they do that, that's an elemental attempt to reinvigorate the whole system so it becomes stronger. That's what we do when we do that. Another one is breathing. If we breathe, that reinvigorates the whole system through the Azure, because that Azure connection point, the seed atom, actually allows us to receive all of the eternal energies that are flowing through. Now, if you don't have a seed atom, the spark of creation, you're in big trouble. You cannot access any energies. You have to steal them. And that's where everything got put together in distortions. And we have so many artificial mechanisms for stealing energy. Why, look, even Jane, just look at the way we have been running money control for 500 years. That is a primordial debt system, which is a mechanism for stealing and sucking our energy out of us. Just happens to be through something that they created called money. So you asked at the very beginning, and I hope I'm not boring everyone here, but you asked at the very beginning about the flower of life. Well, there are two flowers of life. One is the natural one, and Jane, you know all about this, and one is the unnatural one, the metatronic flower of life. And what's the difference? Well, the metatronic flower of life activates and receives energy in minimal amounts. but it does receive energy, and that energy can be taken from it if you know how to take it. And of course, the fallen angelics know. Lord Metatron knows how that was created. But the real flower of life, the golden one you see with all of those circles that you see in it, are all attached to the center. That means that they are activating the whole energy of the whole system of our celestial design. So that is natural, fulsome energy. But the Metatron doesn't have a connecting center with all of the other aspects. All of the other aspects outside that central position are not connected to the center at all and cannot receive the energies. And that's how you know that something is not centered, and therefore it cannot receive the natural energies. It's a fallen life form, and it is an artificial creation.
That's the best description I've ever heard of that, because now I realize that wipes out unity consciousness and the possibility of unity consciousness as well, because that's one central point in the true lotus eternal flower is represents unity consciousness. But anyway, Dave, I have to go back to this video because the Friends of Truth on Telegram would like some questions answered. And and also the Guardian Alliance had said that they wanted it shared out there. So I'm going to keep going down that little rabbit hole, and I have to read some of it because I don't remember it all. So anyway, during this bifurcation of time that we are going to be experiencing, they're saying that our inner energetic integrity is being tested, and there is not a one of us that is exempt from exposure to the massive fields of chaos and confusion and darkness that exist in the collective mind of humanity. So, this is the time to take stock of how well we're coping with the madness of the earth as the collective mind of humanity travels what they say is the dark night of the soul. And our self mastery is now measured through how we personally deal with stress and chaos, whether we're asleep or awake, it doesn't matter. And then the higher the quality of overall energy, the more stable and connected the personal and environmental experience on Earth will be. And the lower the quality of overall energy, the more unstable and disconnected the personal and environmental experience on Earth will become. And we have to sort of think mirror and remember that the low frequencies are unstable. So I'm just telling everyone here, whenever you're in low frequency, you're going into an instability quagmire. So we really need to focus on maintaining these higher frequencies as much as we can. And the woman on the show, her name is Whamma Jamma, and she said there's three sections in this bifurcation of time right now. Obviously, 3D, 4D, 5D, and obviously 3D is the lowest. And she's saying that all the low vibrational creatures that we've been fighting for millennia, the Illuminati, the Dracos, the Luciferians, they'll all be eliminated from planet Earth. She said, all of them. And these are individuals who do not have a stable connection during the bifurcation. And I'm just guessing here they don't have a stable connection because they're not connected to Prime Creator Source. So then the next stage is 4D. So then Whamma Jamma said that the vast majority of people will go into 4D. So just hang on. I know you just were biting at the bit there, Dave. She says this is a layover space because these people are not quite at that high frequency, but they are capable of getting to that high frequency. Then in the 5D frequency, these are the high frequency individuals, those individuals who've done the work, those in the entire populace, everyone on earth who have overcome all the assaults on our minds and bodies. You were talking about that earlier, what they've done to us, the vaccines, We're practically, it's not even safe to have a child in the United States today. They'll try to poison your child in utero. The hospital tries to poison your child on the first day of life. Your pediatrician tries to poison your child 84 times before the age of 18. And then you've got the media and the school system and you're in everything. Okay, it's all trying to stop us from ascending. So all those people in the entire populace who've overcome all these assaults on our minds and bodies to prevent this mass ascension process, they will go to, as I said, 4D. Then she says that the individuals who are not physically capable of ascending, so I'm assuming because of the assaults on their bodies and minds, but they are pure of soul, they will automatically ascend to 5D and bypass 4D. So then she goes on to say that the people who are physically, emotionally, and energetically capable will remain in 4D to serve. And this is where the humanitarian projects come into play and the restoration of Earth and the angelic humans and all the people who were meant to be here at this time. This is where we're going to unite to restore the planet and humanity. So she's saying, in a nutshell now, that all low frequency evil entities, poof, they're gone into the void. Okay, that makes sense. But she's saying if you're not capable, but you have a pure soul, you get to just go up there to 5D on the elevator and there you are. But if you are capable, you go to 4D. So everyone thinks this sounds a little ass backwards. So you remember Kat from Friends of Truth?
Yeah.
She she has a question. She says, how can a person go from 3D straight to 5D just because they have a good heart? There are so many things you have to let go of. It makes no sense to me that they get to go to 5D with all their baggage just because they have a good heart.
I love cat. Um, okay. There's a lot to unpack there. You've done brilliantly to present that so seamlessly and so eloquently. Because I realize now that it's certainly a huge volume of information you've encapsulated there. So well done you. The thing is, okay, how can I approach this? Yeah. When you're down here in the 3D realms, 4D realms, 5D realms, it doesn't matter because there are many D realms, they go up beyond 18, and we're all part of them because we all have aspects of our own self within all of those. But we're talking here in the incarnate level, the physical, the carbon physical level of us, which we chose to be here for whatever reason. Although, let me just put a caveat in there. There are many of us, and you're one of them, Jane, who actually are, oh, I don't know whether I should say this, um, who are actually ascended masters, mistresses, ladies, men, whatever, but ascended beings who have chosen to incarnate themselves into these lower realms for specific purposes, which we know about now. So we're not just little grains of particles of 3D consciousness down here. Some of us have been through this whole pathway before, and we chose to be here now, so that because we knew that this was going to be a pivotal moment in the history of our time matrix. It's as big as that. So, what is my point here about all of these realms, these dimensions? Kat said it didn't seem fair that some can just zip up to 5D and others who are going to remain in 4D, etc. Well, Actually, no, I might not really totally and 100% agree with everything that's been said here. And I mean no disrespect to the person who created the video. We are simply giving our opinions as independent spiritual beings. So let me just say this. According to everything that I've been operating through, which is to do with the Guardian Alliance, there are five harmonic universes, and we're in a part of each one of them. Here we've got our incarnate self, and our incarnate self is centered in our emotional body, which is dimension two. Dimension one, broadly speaking, the physical body, dimension two, the emotional body, dimension three, the mental body. So, what happens about dimension four? What happens there? Well, you've got another body, you've got your astral body. And in dimension five, you have your archetypal body. And in dimension six, you have your geriatric body, and so on. It goes all the way up to your avatar self in the 12th dimension. So, if to, for to be told that you're going to have yourself manifesting in the astral levels of fourth dimension, where you're going to operate and do humanitarian things which will affect 3D Earth, Harmonic Universe 1, and you're going to operate from Harmonic Universe 2, the lower levels of Harmonic Universe 2, doesn't totally seem to fit with me. And I hope that doesn't offend anyone who created the video. I'm just simply giving my spirit opinion
No,
because
that's
in
fine.
5D, you see, is connected dynamically in terms of particle transmutation with D2, dimension two, our emotional body. So the archetypal ourselves in dimension five is connected to our emotional body, dimension two. And it is through the interaction of those two dimensions that we ascend into the fifth dimension. And
Wow.
it's the fifth dimension, which is central in harmonic universe two, because it's four, five, and six. It is central to connecting with one, two, and three. So yes, people can ascend to the fifth dimension. Many have done throughout thousands and thousands of years, and this is an option. And it's certainly an option for somebody like, for example, you, Jane. And all of the people that I know over there and dearly love, all in your team, in the Discord team, and the friends of truth and everything who I miss greatly, all of you people are actually dimension six resonant beings. Your DNA strands resonate at dimension six. Now, that's the highest level of harmonic universe two, four, five, and six. So, for you to be asked to remain in the astral levels of dimension four, to do humanitarian work here on dimension three, somehow affecting the physical carbon realms, doesn't seem to me to really fit with the geometrics, the physical particle dynamics of how our universes work. I mean, I, for example, you as a high coded dimensional being, and I'm talking personally now to you, Jane. I know that you're beyond dimension six. You have assembled and activated more strands than six. You're actually way up in seven or eight, maybe even nine. So why are you still here? What the heck are you doing down here? If you can manifest yourself in the eighth or the ninth dimension, it's because you have chosen to. You've chosen through your own spiritual volition, your own free will, to stay here to help. Knowing you quite well and loving you dearly, I think I know why you're here. But that applies to everybody. Everybody who is still here and has higher coding, you've chosen this yourself. This is your free will spirit choice. So why would anyone suddenly say, well, my free will spirit choice is to go to the astral levels and to help humanity that way, and I won't go to the fifth or the sixth or the seventh because I'm going to stay here in the fourth. So from that point of view, I hope I've answered Kat's question, which is a very valid one, Kat. I would agree with you. You do make choices. You've chosen to stay here for specific reasons. So why would you choose to go to the fourth dimension if you could go to the fifth or the sixth or more? or simply stay here in a physical sense and do your work here and now. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to manifest all the wonderful things that we can do here in a physical universe.
Well, that was such a really amazing answer, Dave. I was going to carry on and tell you more of what they were saying in this video, but I think you've done like super loops out of the level of the video that's on, because she goes on to talk about things like when everyone jumps to 5D, they're going to leave all their houses empty, and then the people who are homeless can move into the homes. She says, think mirror, it's the same. Your neighborhood is exactly the same, but the houses are empty because all these people have gone to 5D, and now we can solve the homeless problem. It just seems a little bit too localized and easy, and the recipe, I don't know. So I think I should maybe leave that video alone now. And
Well,
maybe you could tell us, which I've wanted to know for a long time. You coined the phrase recently, reality fields instead of timelines, and everybody just loves that. So I remember when I was last speaking to you, you told me about the 14 different timelines, which are now reality fields. Do you feel like you've covered those today already in our conversation, or would you like to briefly explain a little bit more about the 14 timelines?
oh, crikey. Well, actually, I switched. You were there. Actually, we had that meeting with Sasha, and yeah, and he asked me that. He said, "I don't like timelines anymore. We're not going to talk about timelines, so forget that." And that threw me a curve because I was supposed to speak about timelines. So I climbed on a different horse and I just called it reality fields. And but basically that is what it really is. There have been many reality fields, and I tell people don't get uptight about reality fields because you're existing in many of them that you create, and of course a lot of them collectively have been created. You can't eliminate the collective reality creation either. A lot of them are created for us, particularly, for example, in modern times by mass media or TV or Hollywood or all sorts of things. Reality fields are being shifted by outside agencies and by the collective. Okay, so if you can get the whole collective to believe that eating bananas is the only thing that will give you health, you will find yourself on a reality field out picturing, meaning that you only eat bananas because the collective has put that reality field into your personal reality field. Fortunately, that hasn't happened. But so we're all experiencing the opportunity to shift our own reality. We create our own reality. And you, Jane, I mean, you're a brilliant artist and writer, and you know that reality is created by what you do. I've watched you work with your wonderful grandkids, and you know how all of this works. You know how reality is created, because and your grandchildren create reality with your help so brilliantly. I've watched you do it. So, what happens? Every single moment we have a choice, and that's free will. That's what we came here for. The contrast of all the different free wills that we can have. We can have not just vanilla ice cream, we can have 100 different varieties of ice cream, and it's our choice. And each choice we make in each moment of that reality introduces us to another reality and another one and another one and another one. And so we're always out picturing different realities. And that's normal. And we create the reality that we want through how we create our thought forms. So, with regard to all of these different reality fields that have been created, well, okay, let me just give you that. I mean, there are lots of them that have been throughout our history. Let me give you an example of one. That was the Great Flood. The Great Flood, which is mentioned in the Bible, and Noah apparently rescued the whole of humanity and the rest of the life field because he took two of everything and put it into the ark. And if I sound as though I'm slightly knocking this idea, I'm not really. I'm just trying to point out that we were in the middle of a descending civilized version of existence, and that was the end of Atlantis. We're going back 12,000 years. So Atlantis was our reality field. We lived with the knowledge that Atlantis existed. And because Atlantis existed, we knew in our reality field that other beings from other planets and other dimensions all existed. And we knew that we were part of a soul matrix family. That was our reality field. So, what happened when there was the flood, which destroyed so much as it did and eliminated Atlantis? The final time it eliminated Atlantis. Well, that took us onto a different reality field. Our memories, for a while, remembered the old reality field of Atlantis and our connection with space, time, and dimensions and soul matrices. And then after a while, being in the Stone Age where we had to restart again with no free energy, no slowly eroding memories, and having to survive through getting energy, food energy from other sources. Once that started, we were on a different reality field. That is what I call the primordial debt, original sin reality field. And that took us along, we're not allowed to say timeline, but we introduced another reality field, time avenue. And we've been living in that one. But have there been any changes in that one? Of course there have, yes. I won't go through all of them because we don't have enough time here. But and anyway, I've written a book about it.
Yeah.
um, so, but yeah, times do change. I mean, for example, major conflicts, major conflicts and wars, etc., shift the timeline or the reality field very slightly and move it into a different direction. And of course, I can tell you that the COVID scam and the vaccine output was designed to take our evolution into a different direction, to give us a different reality field, to make us step into a new avenue of time. And we came real close to having that done to us. And so those are the reality fields can shift at any time in the distorted universes. We've been running a very fine line, Jane, for thousands and thousands and thousands of years when we could have actually totally disappeared from the evolution of life
Well, it seems
as angelic humans.
it seems to me that it was people's consciousness that refused to go along with the new reality field that stopped it. The people that were thinking about what was going on. But just quickly to jump back, you kind of legitimized the Stone Age when you mentioned it. Were you saying Stone Age or were you saying Stone Age?
Stone Age.
Okay, good. Just I just want to make sure that people know that we didn't come from primates like they try to tell us, because that's what the whole Stone Age was trying to tell human angelics, that they were lesser than, that we were evolving toward progress and materialism, and this was our physical evolution. That was another little trick they pulled to move our evolutionary reality field away from what it was supposed to be going toward ascension, right?
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be going towards expansion of conscious awareness, Jane, as you know, and all your listeners here know. It's our evolution is bio-spiritual, but it's essentially spiritual, really. It's the expansion of our conscious awareness of self. Our whole story, all of our narratives, Jane, are to do with one thing in the end. If somebody said to me, Dave, what's the meaning of life? One word, please. Identity. This is all about identity. It's who you are. And do you know who you are? Not are you, Mr. David Emery, Esquire, a name in capital letters given to me by the government. That's not me. And all of these other different things, which we can call, I'm a father, or I'm a tennis player, or I'm a speaker. No, no, no. What's your real identity? So, real identity is encompassed by the expansion of your own awareness of self. Now, what happens in the distorted universe is the exact opposite. So when you mention mirrors, you can see this is the inverse mirror effect, which is contraction, where you don't expand your awareness of self. In fact, you abrogate it to something else. You believe what other beings tell you you are. Oh, you're out of the Stone Age. Yeah. You're from the apes, the primates. Yeah. So you've been walking from Africa and you just happen to get lucky and be here in England or in America. Yeah. Now that is contraction of conscious awareness of self. That's where you are simply obeying or listening to or believing what a different identity from what is real. So we've got the two things, contraction and expansion, and we're on the reality field expansion of conscious awareness of self.
And regarding that too, I believe that our adversaries, the invaders of this earth, whoever they may be, and all of their names, they had access to our galactic history and the cloistered Dora Tira plates. And so they had advanced information about us that we didn't even know about ourselves. And so they took that red, yellow, brown, black, all the different colors of our 12 tribes that we originally got here as, and they almost utilized each tribe against each other. So that on top of that, we didn't know this. So we've got to a point in our history where people are blaming the white man. The white man, he's so terrible. He's just, don't give him a job. He's so privileged and he destroyed everything and he's responsible for colonialism and all of that stuff. And we've bought it, but we're all part of the same original angelic human tribe. So I just want people to know that it wasn't the white man who did all that. It was the people who had them on their little puppet strings, having them running around forming like the Roman Catholic Church or the Khazarian Mafia or whatever it was. And they were doing the bidding of these Dracos and so on that were trying to control our earth. So anytime you are hostile toward any race, no matter what color it is, you are buying into their system and perpetuating their rhetoric of division. And if we do that, we are never going to get to unity consciousness.
Oh, really well said. I admire your eloquence there and your passion as well, because that was a passionate speech and it was so well required at this particular time. Yes, we have been conned into them and us, and divide and conquer and all of that. They've been very, very clever in all of this. And you're quite right to point out about the connections that we all have as one. In fact, the original color schemes for angelic humanity were the Ur-Antrians, Lemurians, they were brown skins. The Brenau, they were red skins. They came out of Atlantis and became North American Indians as well. There was the Melchizedeks, originally yellow skins, the Hebrew and the Aryans, white skins. And then, of course, the Uniseti were black skins. That's going back 250 million years ago. So how do we get here? We happen to have incarnated through all of those. We've been everything. There's nothing we haven't been. So you're quite right. This divide and conquer thing, and then the white man's to blame. It's all BS. And we bought it. We bought the BS, Jane. Well, I did for years and years and in previous lifetimes. But the interesting thing is, and you said something which is so fascinating. You said about they knew all the cosmic divine designs and the principles and the structures of the cosmos. You're quite right, because some of those higher dimensional, like 9 and 10 and 11 dimensional beings, they live for, wait for it, millions of years. They can actually activate a life system which goes on for millions of years. But what happened with us? They were living, let's just take one example. Well, no, I won't mention any names because then it gets boring. But let's just take one example. of a being out of the 11th dimension who is distorted and fallen, has lost its Azure, no seed atom, right? Has to rely on securing our energy, stealing from us, using us as food. How can that particular being living for 1 million years, stop us from stepping into our true celestial power, which is so vast, it would eliminate this being, this 1 million-year-old being's opportunity to control the universe? Well, he has to get us to forget who we are. How can he do that? Well, one way is to make sure we don't live for 1 million years. Because if we did, we would acquire all of the data of the cosmic divine design, and we would realize who we are because we know we have got an Azarea seed atom. So, how about you just make sure that slowly over a long period of time, the lifetime, the longevity of all of these angelic indigos is shut down, reduced, stopped. Let's just see if we can get them down to having to be reborn after, say, 70 or 80 years or 100 years, and then they come back and they can't remember anything. Oh, and they got to start all over again. And we can imprint them with all sorts of things like education, and we teach them what it is we want them to know. Now, does that sound like a possible scenario for controlling a universe? That's what's happened.
So, well, here's to all the people that remember.
Yes. No, you're quite right. Once you start remembering all of this and you remember who you are, it's game over for those who have tried to stop the free will and the oneness of all of us together. So, to go back to your video at the very beginning about the one, ultimately, in the end, Jane, that is correct. We are here individual expressions of the one, the original. And when we return to our original encryption as the one, the wonderful thing about it is that we never forget all of the uniqueness that we are here and now, that we are both everything and one.
Well, I love that, Dave, and that's a great way to end. And one thing I did want to mention was when you create an enemy, you also create a victim, and they're also very good at that. So we have to know who we are. We have to know that we are not victims of anything. And we also have to know and find out absolutely and believe that we are completely and utterly connected to Prime Creator Source, no intermediaries or middlemen necessary. And then let's get on with the job of rebuilding this world. And I don't mind going to 4D and helping out and doing the humanitarian projects because I love this earth. I don't think I'd like to be flying around in a spaceship too much. I'd rather be in a beautiful earth in an incredibly gorgeous aesthetic environment, just floating through paradise and living my life in love and oneness.
Well, Jane, if I can just say that is a wonderful vision you have just painted there for us. And that is what you're doing. If I can talk on a personal level without being too personal here, you're a very loving, very lovely individual spirit being. And what you are creating for our earth now is coming through your visual skills, your artistry, your creative power in writing, but particularly in your visual arts. And just the way that you present yourself, everything that you are doing is actually adding to the celestial nature of Earth as it should be. So I want to say thank you for being you.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. And I send you the highest of accolades for you being you and introducing me to our galactic history and science. Because without that information right now, I would still be floundering around in the dark, wondering what the heck was going on. But because of this pre-ancient information, I feel so rejuvenated and it triggered my memory. So I recommend highly to everyone if you can study your galactic history, look at the work of Ashiana Dean and many, many others now. Samuel B. somebody or other on Instagram. He's really good. think it's Samuel B. Lee. And just dig around there and say no to everything that's putting you down and trying to steal your energy. Grab onto your creation currency, put it to work, and let's get the hell out of 3D.
Okay, Jane, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for helping me to talk to so many people and give my love to everybody behind you, including Kat and all the rest of them. And I'll speak to you all again very soon.
Okay, I
Okay,
will do that. Thanks, Dave.
okay. Bye.